Welcome to a Brownlow medal preview thanks to sportsiq.com.au. The Brownlow medal, always a fantastic time of the year, always plenty of hype about it in the last week of September, and this year is no exception. I'm Ben Waterworth, and joining me to take me through all the Brownlow medal previews for each team is the Japanese assassin himself, John Takemura. Good to see you, Foss.
Yeah, good to see you too, Benny. Should be a very close count this year.
Very close count as well. Now, what we should explain first of all is what the icons mean as we go through each of the teams at the moment. The icons mean the lock for 3 votes. That player is a certain 3 voter. The red flame there means they're an outside chance to poll in the game. Of course, that sign there means they are reported. The second one is the injured in the game, and then the last one there means they did not play in the match. What we're going to do is we're going to go through each team and see which players will poll the most votes for their certain team, because that is how you make all the money these days, JTAC. And we're going to start with the Adelaide Crows, and Scott Thompson has continued his excellent season this year, JTAC. He's, from what the SportsIQ votes have seen, 14 votes he seems to end up on, and he's almost a lock. And Nathan Van Berlo most likely to come in second position with a couple of best on ground. It's the Brisbane Lions.
For the Brisbane Lions, well, Simon Black's had a fantastic season, the veteran for the Lions. They predicted 11 votes for Simon, and also Jed Adcock and Tommy Rockcliffe should poll a few votes as well.
But perhaps the most interesting one of all the teams, JTAC, is the Carlton Football Club, because we think Chris Judd is almost a lock, but Mark Murphy might take a lot of votes off him. At the moment, we've got Chris Judd sitting on 29 votes and Mark Murphy sitting on 23 votes. Now, the interesting thing here is Murphy finished the season in a little bit better form than Judd, so it will be interesting to see, because Murphy could poll a few votes. Will be interesting to see which games Murphy does poll in. The Pies.
Well, they could be the biggest challengers to Chris Judd and Mark Murphy's Brownlow medal chances. Scotty Pendlebury, fantastic season again. 26 votes he's been predicted for, and Dane Swan, even though he missed those couple of matches in Arizona, started the season a bit slow, 24 votes. The main problem could be taking votes off each other, particularly with the season of Daisy Thomas as well.
We see Daisy Thomas there with 15 votes and Travis Cloak with 12 votes as well. Going on to Essendon, we all know how well Jobe Watson started the season. He will poll plenty of 3 votes in the first round. Unfortunately, gets injured and misses a fair bit of footy. He does win the most votes for Essendon, surely. He will get 16 votes. And a good season by David Zaharakis. He finishes on 10 votes.
At Fremantle, seems like we're going to have a pretty clear winner out there. Nathan Fyfe, been absolutely outstanding this year.
I don't know about clear. Pavlich will get a few votes, but Fyfe's had a very good year.
Fyfe's been outstanding, and if he's not All-Australian this year, I'll be very, very surprised, and I expect him to poll very, very highly.
Interesting, down at Geelong, of course, Gary Ablett winning the Brownlow a couple of years ago, but Joel Selwood has taken over from him and done a fantastic job. He's finished the season with 21 votes. He did miss 4 games due to suspension, but he's a clear winner. Paul Chapman and Jimmy Bartell will also get 12 and 11 votes, but I just get the feeling James Kelly actually might win their best and fairest, but he won't poll too well on the Brownlow this year.
Speaking of Gary Ablett,
yes.
BW.
Beautiful segue, JTAC.
The Gold Coast Suns, well, Gary Ablett, he has taken his game to a new level this year. A lot of people thought, going to the Gold Coast, not so much protection, but he's shown this year. He's gone and got his own ball. He's done brilliantly and predicted to get around 19 votes, but I wouldn't be surprised if he gets a few more than that. There's been several 3-vote performances, particularly against Hawthorn last week. Michael Riscatelli will get a couple of votes, but apart from that, there's not really going to be much joy for the Suns in the Brownlow medal count.
Absolutely. Going on to Hawthorn, and Sam Mitchell is all the rage now. Of course, Sam Mitchell can't win the Brownlow because he was suspended, was reprimanded down, but he can't win the Brownlow. He's ineligible. But he's a clear standout this season. He will end up with 26 votes. Hodge and Franklin might take a few votes off him, but Mitchell will definitely get the most votes for Hawthorn.
At Melbourne, Brett Maloney had a really good season. Absolutely, 18 votes. Colin Sylvia will pick up a couple, but really, they really struggled in the second half of the year, so I don't expect them to get too many votes after, say, about round 14. Interesting
to see what happens at North Melbourne. Of course, had a very good season this year, but it could be very tight between Andrew Swallow and, of course, Daniel Wells. Both had career best seasons. Swallow ending up with 14 votes, Wells with 13, but that's really a toss of the coin, depending seriously on which way the umpire's seen it. So between them two, we've just got Swallow slightly ahead at the moment.
Well, at Port Adelaide, Benny, there's a big wide spread of people who probably won't get too many votes.
Now, this is the most interesting one because if I might just take over this one, J-Tac, Westhoff got best on ground in that showdown earlier on in the season, and we think he might poll a couple of votes in the last game of the season to get him across the line.
My favourite, though, even though the SportsIQ guys have given him 3 votes for the year, I wouldn't be surprised if Travis Boak gets quite a few, being a very good player for Port Adelaide and a very disappointing season.
Over at Richmond, it has been the Dustin Martin and Trent Cotchin show throughout the entire season. We've got Dustin Martin ahead by a couple of votes to Trent Cotchin, 14-12, purely because we think Martin might get a few more 3s and 2s, but it should be quite close between them two.
At St Kilda, Nicky Dell, he's been in fantastic form this year.
Yep.
I expect him to poll reasonably well. Brendan Goddard, his first half of the year was pretty ordinary, to say the least, but as St Kilda have improved across the season, he's improved as well. And Joey Montagna might get a couple of votes as well, but I think they won't be figuring too much in Brownlow contention.
No doubt Adam Goodes is a clear winner for the Sydney Swans. His last 6 weeks of the season have been absolutely fantastic. 27 votes. He will really challenge Chris Judd and Scott Pendlebury at the top of the leaderboard. Jude Bolton had a very good start to the year, so did Ryan O'Keefe, dropped off a little bit, and Goodes has just flourished since then, so expect Goodes to poll very, very well.
At West Coast, expect quite a few players to get quite a number of votes. Matty Priddis has been really good, particularly through the middle of the season. Dean Cox has found his All-Australian form from 2009, and also Daniel Kerr should get a couple, but I'd back Dean Cox.
Yeah, Priddis and Cox, Priddis polled very well last year, so it'll be interesting to see if Priddis can follow that up again. And your Western Bulldogs, J-Tac, Matthew Boyd, very close to All-Australian. He will poll the most votes, definitely. We've got him on 23 votes at SportsIQ. And Ryan Griffin, who's had a very good start in the season, he will poll 15 votes. Now, the next graphic we're going to show you is the first tier locks, the second tier locks, and the no certainties. Now, this graphic, we've got the first tier locks means that we are absolutely certain that these guys will poll the most votes for their team. Scott Thompson, Joel Selwood, Gary Ablett, Sam Mitchell, Brent Maloney, Nick Del Sando, Adam Goodes, and Matthew Boyd. The second tier locks, we think these guys will poll the most votes. Simon Black, Chris Judd, and Joe Watson. And there you can see the no certainties. There's a couple of teams where we're not 100% sure. Most importantly, J-Tac, the final leaderboard of the whole Brownlow medal, we get the feeling this should be Chris Judd. He's had an outstanding season, always polls well. We think Adam Goodes will really poll well towards the end of the season, but might leave his run a little bit too late. Judd, you reckon for yours to win the Brownlow?
I think Judd will do just enough, even though he won't poll so many votes in the last few rounds. I think he'll have a big enough lead going into, say, round 20 to have the job done despite a late charge from Goodsy and Scotty Pendlebury.
Well, there you have it, a comprehensive look at the Brownlow medal for season 2011. It should be a close count no matter what, but make sure you stick around on sportsiq.com.au for all your Brownlow medal previews over the next couple of weeks. Thanks for joining us.